Hi, Emily. This is Linda. Thank you so much for your patience with this literacy narrative. Um, so first off, you've got a good heading here. You've got a title, and I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs, which, you're following some of the general rules I think that you might have learned in high school. But for an academic paper, the assignment for the literacy narrative was to write a paper, I believe 4 to 5 pages in length, which would be around 1,200 to 1,500 words. And this is coming far below it. Now, if you double space your paragraphs, that will add some length in terms of page numbers, but what I'm more interested in is what's happening in the paragraphs. Now, what I can tell is that you understand how to write an essay. You understand that there needs to be organization and that there needs to be connection between the paragraphs from the introduction to the conclusion. So it's not about how to do the essay or how to come up with ideas. What I think it is about is paragraph development and how to make your paragraphs have a little bit more punch, a little bit more variety, and more interest for your reader. So what I've included here at the bottom of your paper is some, a place to go to read about paragraph development and to look, particularly to look at all the examples in there in the little Siegel handbook. And I've also given you kind of a recipe for a paragraph. These don't have to be just one sentence. I mean, it could be a topic sentence, could be 2 shorter sentences or 1 long sentence. Motive could maybe take you 2 or 3 sentences to explain explain why this information is important to the overall topic of your essay. And then the explanation of how the topic connects to the thesis or the theme of the essay. Motive is kind of like more the why, and the explanation is more the how. And then providing support. And the more support you provide for each of these topics, the better the paragraph becomes, the more it lives and the more variety it has. And so in a literacy narrative, support is usually done with stories, characterizations of important people, dialogue, descriptions, lots of detail, and you've got a knack for it. I just think you can give us a little bit more information. And then, of course, a concluding sentence and a transition to the next idea. The big thing that I want you to be really asking yourself is, what do you want us to know as your reader? Like, what is the most important ideas? Why do you want to write about music literacy? Why is that important to you? What do you want the reader to learn? What do you want the reader to feel? What do you want the reader to see and to hear? I can tell that you've thought about that a little bit because you've got some pretty nice detail. In fact, the first sentence I've highlighted in pink, and pink is my color I use to indicate that I really like something. And I really like how you started this off. I would suggest that rather than doing it in 2 sentences, that you combine it into 1 sentence. So it could read something like this. I'm going to switch things around, but I'm going to use your words. It began in an old house on a rickety bench in front of 52 white keys set in a scratched up wooden piano. Or, it began, my interest in music began when I was 8 years old in an old house on a rickety bench in front of 52 white keys set in a scratched up wooden piano. Can you see what I'm saying there? So you want to try to make that all into 1 sentence, and that would be a very lovely complex sentence. Now in green I have highlighted those sentences or parts of sentences that I think go to the bigger message here. And in your essay, I actually kind of see 2 different messages, and this is why I want you to think about what it is you want the reader to know. So you are showing us that you have a literacy in music, which is so cool, that you almost came to it naturally. And not only did you love to read and write music, but you also love to appreciate music. and how you have used music as a tool in your life for distractions, for fun, and for connection. You also have here that music is a way to deal with problems. And this paragraph is really important because you've got so many different ideas going on in here. And what I actually see is that you probably have, if you were to focus on how music helps me to concentrate, music is fun to play, music is a connection with others, and it's a way to deal with problems, and it's a talent, okay, to develop. If you were to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these could become 5 little paragraphs all by themselves. And they shouldn't be all together necessarily in one paragraph. It almost like this could become a thesis statement too. Now, what I'm wondering is this background story is more like the details and support. Some of the things that you can add to give us more information is doing a little bit of characterization. You know, when I say characterization, you've mentioned that they're old, but do they have names? Could you give us some sort of a physical description? How old were you when you were there with them? What was their house like? What was their home like? Were you happy with them? Why or why not? And of course, not on everything. We're talking just about music. I get the sense from what you have shared is that you were happy there, that this man, although he was quiet, had a lot of instruments that were intriguing to you. And luckily the piano was his exception, you say. So like, why is that lucky? You know, is that just because, you know, why is this important to you? Is that just because, oh, I get to touch something of his, or was it because you were genuinely intrigued with music? We also have a really big jump from playing heart and soul to learning how to read and write music. Now, you can decide, depending on what the focus of this essay is, whether or not you want to talk a lot about that. But I do feel like the stronger lesson here, and the one that you maybe feel more passionate about from what I could tell, is in this paragraph. So if I were to take these words and make a thesis out of it, let's see if I can pull this up here. It might sound something like this. Although I gradually learned to read and write music, music has much greater meaning in my life because it provides, me with maybe a greater ability to focus, an opportunity to have fun, a chance to meet, to build relationships with other interesting people, and music provides me with a greater ability to focus, an opportunity to have fun, a chance to build relationships with other interesting people, and a way to deal with my problems. You know, as a bonus, my love for music has also developed into a talent. Okay, so what I did here is I'm trying to keep intact all of these ideas that you said in this paragraph. Whoops, sorry. And now what I've done is I can move this up into my, well, actually, you know what, I'm going to take that off. It is kind of, if I were to look at this right now, I would say that all of this paragraph, and this paragraph, and this are all your introduction. So you can have an introduction that's more than one paragraph long. Now what you need to do is break out each of these ideas into separate paragraphs. So, and then you can still keep this as your conclusion, but you need to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more little paragraphs in there, in between this paragraph and this paragraph, okay? So, for example, I'm just going to continue on down here. If the first paragraph is, okay, music, you know, is it, and I guess I don't know if it's playing or listening to music, so that's something you're going to have to decide. But I'll just say listening to good music to concentrate on hard things, right? Okay, so there's my topic sentence. This paragraph is going to be about how listening to good music increases my ability to concentrate, right? So now I've got if I'm going to follow my recipe down here, I have to say why this information is important for the topic, okay? So maybe, you know, and I'm just making this up because I don't know you, but if this would be for me, okay? So maybe too often people make judgments about music. I'm going to give an example. So, like, you know, for example, this morning I had to do some house cleaning, which I hate to do. I would much rather be outside